Whenever there is a drop in blood pressure, the renin angiotensin aldosterone system is activated, which is in abbreviated as RAAS. What does RAAS mean? Renin, R for renin, aldosterone, sorry, angiotensin aldosterone system. This system gets activated whenever there's a drop in the blood pressure. So we can make it out. Rather, we will make a list of conditions in which the RAS will be activated, and that is why renin will be secreted. I'll tell you what do I mean by renin secretion. But before that, renin is the main starting point of RAS system. It is activated whenever there is a drop in the blood pressure. So, what exactly happens if there is a drop in blood pressure? So, in order to understand that, we need to know that obviously renin is secreted from the kidney, and the kidney contains near about 1 million nephrons. And from this, I'll be taking one nephron and I'll be putting up here. So this is what we see. We see an afferent arteriole that brings blood to this glomerulus, and there's an efferent arteriole that takes away the blood. So it's coming as arteriole and also exiting as an arteriole. But because this is a capillary sort of thing, so don't confuse that since it is coming and ending in a capillary, so the next thing usually starts the vein. But in case of glomerulus, this capillary, glomerular capillaries, the exit would also be an arteriole. So if this is the afferent arteriole, so here the afferent arteriole will be having a specialized cells where in a part that is very close to this structure. What is this structure? This is the distal convoluted tubule. So let us review the pathway of urine. Afferent arteriole brings blood, goes to the glomerulus, there the filtration takes place and exits to the efferent arteriole. Now after they reach the Bowman's capsule, they are now they progress towards the proximal convoluted tubule, then through the descending limb of the loop of Henle. Here is the loop of Henle. This is the thick ascending limb of the loop of Henle, and finally they will connect with the distal convoluted tubule, and finally they will drain into the collecting duct. This is the basic architecture of nephron. So these arterioles somehow which has intimate contact with the intimate relationship with the distal convoluted tubule. These arterioles have specialized cells. These are very granular in nature. These specialized cells are very granular in nature, and they contain granules, also known as the juxtaglomerular cells. These are also called the juxtaglomerular cells. And what are they? They are actually the pressure sensors, that is stretch sensors, that is they are baroreceptors. Whenever there is a drop in BP, these baroreceptors, they get activated. As a result of it, renin is liberated from these granules. They contain so many granules. Why they are called granular cells? Because they contain granules which contains renin, and they are liberated into the bloodstream. So the first thing that we came to know, that renin is released whenever there is a drop in the blood pressure. Now it is also released by another mechanism. When suppose the filtrate is passing through this loop of Henle. When it reaches to this part, that is where the distal convoluted tubule and the ascending limb of the loop of Henle, they meet. In that region, there are a specialized group of cells. There are a specialized group of cells. I'm using a green color. Hopefully you can see it. These are specialized groups of cells. They are called the macula densa. Macula densa. So what are these macula densa? They are actually chemical sensors, specifically electrolyte sensors. So whenever there is a drop in sodium in this content, these macular denser cells, they can sense it. So these cells can crosstalk with this juxtaglomerular cells. There is some kind of cellular matrix which is present. There are also other cells called mesangial cells, that is extraglomerular mesangial cells are there. They also contain renin, but they don't contribute to this RAAS system. But through the intracellular matrix, the cells, these cells, the macula densa, can crosstalk with the juxtaglomerular cells. So they stimulate the secretion of renin. So renin is also secreted whenever there is a drop in sodium ion concentrations in the filtrate, or overall in the body also. If there is a drop in the sodium ions, this macula densa is going to trigger the juxtaglomerular cells to produce renin. There is another mechanism through which renin is liberated. It's called the sympathetic system. That is, the sympathetic nerves. They also stimulate the secretion of renin from this juxtaglomerular cells. The sympathetic response is all about fight or flight response. That means when we need to fight, we need more vasodilations in the skeletal muscles, or if you need to run or fly away from that place, so we need lot of power, so we lot of things on the skeletal muscles. So the vasodilatation in the skeletal muscle is more important rather than vasodilatation here, though. So the body will try to send less amount of blood to the kidney, so it will try to constrict these arterioles so that more of the blood is sent to the skeletal muscles, because at the time of fight or flight response, we need a lot of blood circulations in those areas. So these are the three reasons why renin will be secreted, or the RAAS system will be activated. There's the sympathetic, last we have the sympathetic nervous system. So these three reasons can trigger the RAAS, or in short, can trigger the renin release. Now what about the others? Now we'll see what happens. Once renin is released from here, suppose these cells, obviously they are secreting out renin. They are secreting out renin. Once renin is liberated into the bloodstream, they will first go to the liver. Liver has a specialized protein which is present, that is called angiotensinogen. Angiotensinogen. This is produced in the liver, and also whichever is produced, some of it is also present in the bloodstream. Angiotensinogen. It's called angiotensinogen. So, see, I hope it is clear. It is visible to you. GEN. Angiotensinogen doesn't have any role in the management of blood pressure, but angiotensinogen will, whenever it is in the circulation, I'll write it as Ag angiotensinogen. When it is, and we know that renin is liberated from here, so renin is, sorry, I'll use a different color. So renin is liberated here, renin, and they will now go and meet with the angiotensinogen, and the angiotensinogen will be converted into angiotensin 1. This will be converted into angiotensin 1. Well, angiotensin 1 has some bit of vasoconstrictive property, but it is not clinically very remarkable. So it needs to be converted into a more potent form, and which actually the conversion takes place in the lungs. The angiotensin 1 goes to the lungs. There, angiotensin 1, AG1, will be converted into angiotensin 2. Angiotensin 2. I hope you can read it. This is called the angiotensin 2. Angiotensin 2 is a potent vasoconstrictor. This angiotensin 2 will come out here and will try to constrict the arteriole. There are smooth muscles which are present in the arterioles. They are going to constrict it. As a result, they will try to increase the blood pressure. Now, renin has acted on the angiotensinogen and converted into angiotensin 1. Angiotensin 1 has been converted to angiotensin 2 in the lungs, and they will help in the vasoconstriction. Now, there is another role of renin. The renin triggers three things, out of which we know angiotensin is one. What are the other two? Other two is this: the kidney has two adrenal glands, and these adrenal glands secretes aldosterone whenever renin is there. So aldosterone is secreted from here. Sterone. Aldosterone is secreted from the adrenal glands, which are mineralocorticoids. And this aldosterone will come here, and once it comes here, what it does, if this is the distal convoluted tubule, it's going to draw out the sodium and throw back into the circulation. So whatever the sodium that is present will be taken back into the circulation. That is called the reabsorption. It will help in the reabsorption of sodium in the distal convoluted tubule. That is the work of aldosterone. And aldosterone is formed with the help of renin. So first we saw renin works on angiotensinogen. Renin also activates the formation of aldosterone. And which one is the third one? The third one happens in the pituitary. That is in the brain. That's the pituitary is definitely the master endocrine gland. It has anterior lobe and a posterior lobe. So it actually goes to the posterior. This is the anterior lobe, this is the posterior lobe. The renin actually go to the posterior lobe, and from here, one hormone will be liberated. What is the name of this hormone? That is called the ADH. That's called anti-diuretic hormone. What does diuresis mean? Diuresis means to create urine, and anti-diuresis means that is not to create urine. So what does ADH do? ADH actually acts on the collecting duct, in which they help in the reabsorption of water. Water is taken back. This is the collecting duct, and water is taken back from here, and that happens due to the action of ADH. So I'll write ADH here. due to the action of ADH, it happens. Over here, what happens? Due to what the sodium is getting reabsorbed? That is aldosterone. Sterone. And this arteriole, this efferent arteriole, it is getting constricted due to what? This is getting constricted due to angiotensin 2. So we'll write it as angiotensin 2. Ag2. Simple. So renin angiotensin aldosterone system actually helps in increasing the blood pressure. Whenever there is a drop in blood pressure, whenever there is a drop in the sodium ion concentration, or due to the increased sympathetic activity, nervous system activity, then also renin is liberated. And what does renin do and how it does? That is, it will first go and convert angiotensinogen to angiotensin 1, and angiotensin 1 is not that much potent, so it is converted angiotensin 1 to angiotensin 2, and angiotensin 2 will have a vasoconstrictive effect on the blood vessels. Now we have the another organ which is involved, that is the adrenal glands, which is just above the kidney. The renin will go and trigger the formation of aldosterone, and aldosterone has the action of reabsorbing sodium in the distal convoluted tubule. And third way in which renin helps in this management of BP or decreased sodium count, whatever it is, this by the secretion of posterior pituitary. From the posterior pituitary, antidiuretic hormone is secreted, and this antidiuretic hormone works on the collecting duct and they will absorb water. This is how the kidney tries to balance if there is any kind of change in blood volume or blood pressure. These are the Stech receptors or baroreceptors. This is called the juxtaglomerular cells. This is called the macular densa. These are the chemoreceptors. And in between there are intracellular matrix. These are the mesangial cells. This is called the mesangial cells. They are the extraglomerular mesangial cells. Why they are extraglomerular mesangial cells? Because these mesangial cells are also present within the glomerulus. They are called the intraglomerular mesangial cells. Though they contain renin, but their role in RAAS is not there, and it's still not known why, but maybe in future we'll come to know. So this is what happens in case when there is a drop in blood pressure. So that is all about RAAS. I hope you have understood it. If you haven't, you can send me questions, you can ask me. I will love to clarify your doubts. Thanks for watching.